WhatsApp, we've got Ashraf with a disaster in KwaZulu-Natal unfolding. It'll be interesting to note the performance of the humanitarian aid industry operating within the local Muslim community. A discussion on the scenario is requested. Got that point noted. Over to Ponty and over to Rahima for them to debate on whether we should actually cover this. So maybe it's a point noted, and we welcome your feedback. Okay, so the Champion South Africa feature, the last thing we'll do today, is driven really from where I sit as the driver of Champion South Africa, a movement, a project with just one goal: to build South Africa into a champion nation. So a lot of what we do is try to raise the consciousness of people to understand how they can link their personal success to national success. Because in doing that and multiplying that, you start building people into champion people, and you get the champion people to build champion nations. Now, we've put up call out to many people to suggest names who we should be speaking to, and you are at liberty to suggest anybody who you think has done something quite unique that, in your opinion, does literally, as a verb, champions South Africa. Drop me a WhatsApp anytime, 061 766 0355 with your suggestions. You can also tag me and tag Champion South Africa on the various social media pages. Okay, so we've had a recommendation that we should chat to Naomi Schauer. She's the Chief Impact Officer of CONECKT, spelled with a CKT. Got that? CONECKT, right? And we're going to find out exactly what they do. So, Naomi, appreciate your time and good morning.
Hi, how are you? It's lovely to be with you.
Absolutely, thank you. So how then do you champion South Africa?
I'm really passionate about sharing. So I believe that we have an immense amount of resources. And I think that when we find each other and we take away that silo mentality, that magic just happens. So we're championing South Africa by facilitating sharing amongst people, organizations, charities, donors, kind of in the middle of creating a kindness revolution.
Okay, interesting about facilitating sharing, because I mean that's so topical in the right of what's happened with KZN. But you know, today it's KZN, tomorrow it's something else. There's a constant need for humanity to help humanity, and it can't be left to governments to do that. How then do you? Because I mean the key word you've used is facilitate, right? How then do you facilitate the sharing?
So I suppose we have a bird's eye view, as the network is quite vast. We're looking at, I think, healthcare professionals, as well as, what do corporates sponsor? So trying to connect the right NGO that could possibly produce a product or a service that the corporate could be using, instead of just, I suppose, the begging bowl that is a continuous thing. So we are trying to make efficient things happen. We're basically connecting the dots. So when we see a creche, for instance, that's in need of beanies and blankets, and we have another organization on the other end that can make them, we can create that partnership where they are earning an income and doing something with their time, and then the creche gets the beanies. Instead of this, we're begging for money to go and buy them at a shop that probably isn't South African owned. And then we are not building back the economy. We are just becoming a part of the problem.
I mean, I think
so we
so
look for change
do.
makers, people who are kind and like-minded, who want to share, and who are not about complaining, but about solution-driven. And we make that happen. We're sharing our resources, our donations, our contacts, our skills, our ideas. We know that there's enough space at the finish line for everybody. It's not a competition. It's really, it's poverty, it's GBV, it's crime, it's all of our problem.
So at the core, then, what you do is you connect people, and that's why it's called CONECKT, right? And I gather that what you do is tech driven, right? Tell me more about that.
Sorry, I lost you there.
I was saying, I gather what you do in connecting, a need with the want is very tech driven. So tell me then more about the technology behind what you do.
Well, we're using as different platforms. Actually, WhatsApp has been one of our biggest, communicators, because it's easy for people to just, get your answer. And, at the moment we have Facebook Messenger, which is also data free, which is also helpful for people who can't get the message to us. So we've used technology for good, as it is often something that might disconnect us. So because of the algorithms and all the things that happen on Google and Facebook, I'm actually getting the information I need that I want to share to these different platforms. Is it valuable? Is it necessary?
Okay. I suppose that avoids duplication, because I mean, one of the things we were talking about even earlier on with regard to the floods in KZN is like, there are people in, say, Johannesburg, and they're not knowing who to give to, and they're not knowing how to get it there. And there are people who have a need, and they're not knowing how to get the assistance. And in this case, basically, this is where you would fit in. You would be able to say, "Hey, Ashraf, you want to give? I know where it should go to it," and you do that. You do that often, right?
For sure. I mean, we're on many groups where people are already giving us details of where to send, whether it's money or goods, and trying to get transport and how we're going to, and it's just about really coming together to help each other as humans. There's a lot of separation, a lot of segregation, a lot of politics, and we're just saying we need to survive this together. And how do we hold hands through something when we've got so much skill in this country, and we have to go from the bottom up. We have to look at the most marginalized and see what we can do.
Take me back to when did you start CONECKT, and why? I mean, there has to be like sort of a revelation, aha moment to say, I'm going to do this. What happened?
So I come from a background, I was teaching people with disabilities, and then I went into social work. So I've been a part of, I suppose, charity and the space and education for a little while. And there was this massive gap, I suppose, of no real support for the social workers or anyone in these industries who are just expected to do these really hard jobs with very little money and very little support. So this came about in October 2019 when I left my job just 5-6 months short of Corona's lockdown. But it was needed. It was a platform. It was virtual. It was people all over the country chatting to each other. But it was born from just a massive need of looking at a target market that is not well represented, that's not well supported. And we wanted to be a company that services them and not another charity, because there are 200,000 odd of them and it's growing daily. And we're all fighting for the same money. So in this, how do we support them and make what they're doing more impactful? Create more business thinking in charity instead of this idea that we're just begging all the time. So
well, it's more sustainable doing just that. Largely, I mean, let's talk about impact. How have you measured the impact of what you've done?
It's really been difficult because we hear stories after the fact, because we don't know who's actually always connecting outside of our platform. So sometimes we get surprised by, oh, wow, we made that happen a little bit. And then finding those connections and speaking to them again. A lot of it is watching the stuff come in and then it get distributed, and knowing that we've, let's say, helped 6 charities with new office furniture or whatever it is that we shared. And it is difficult to measure the impact, but we're doing our best to try and see the different avenues, because it's a big dream, it's a big vision.
And CONECKT is spelled CONECKT, CONECKT, right? I gather you have a website. Perhaps just share that website with us.
Yes. So it's www.connect.org, and CONECKT there is actually an acronym for charitable opportunities, networking, employability, connecting kindness through technology.
And now I know, and now does the whole country know. Naomi Schauer, thank you so much for your time. Most appreciated. There we are. I'll have a different take on the word connect now compared to before. Absolutely, connect, right? Well, thank you for your time. There we are. I mean, we look at this often, trying to find people, organizations that by their actions do something that's quite unique, but at the center of what they do, the verb is they champion South Africa. The noun is where they do it so well that we say, hey, you're the champion South African. But it starts with a verb. How do you champion South Africa? Do you know anybody else I should be talking to? Comment on the Salam Media social media pages, like you can do it right now, or WhatsApp us anytime, 061 766 0355. That's it for today's show. We'll be back tomorrow. Remember, we start being a public holiday still, issue Friday, Jesus in Islam on Good Friday. Don't miss that. Coming up next, it's Juz 13 of the Holy Quran with Sheikh Mahir Al-Muwakli. That comes up next. Assalamu alaikum.